Hello! Today's video is going to be about relationships, romantic relationships, divorces, friendships, neighbors, whatever, whoever, relationships with your children, all relationships. Everything is universally applicable and can be deconstructed, boiled down, get the message, and apply it however you feel inspired and fit. And I am not an expert at relationships, just like everybody is always in a stage of perpetual learning and growth. I am no different. And so I open myself up to the divine quite regularly to lead and guide. And if you follow the as above, so below, Hermetic principles and know that there is magic written in the stars that gives little hints to this life. In that regard, relationships were something that came in my life as a heavily congested area to unpack. It was a gift with a big red bow. And so, like all great things in life, we are given the opportunity to continuously see our blind spots and let it be the fuel to turn lead to gold, to alchemize, to transform. If you take things and need to be in competition or make others wrong or anything like that, you are denying yourself some of the greatest gifts in life. And I can say that from experience. And why do we see a speck in our brother's eye and we do not see the beam in our own? It's all telling us about the mirror principle, about life, about reality around us being a reflection of what's within. So if you have beef with another, you better look inside, because there is something there that you are denying, repressing, judging, trying to stuff down. If you have a judgment for another, yep, it's in there. So the beautiful news is you are innocent. You're not some evil person. We are all innocent. We are all playing this game. You are either consciously seeing your shadows and triggers in which you know you're innocent and you're sending yourself love and you're seeing the game and you're playing it, or you are unconsciously doing this, in which case, yeah, of course you're innocent. You're not consciously choosing any of this. It's playing out. There's patterns playing out. There's repeat situations playing out. It's all for you to see. Oh, she didn't get it this time. He didn't get it this time. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again, because it's in your frequency. It's in there, and you're going to repeat the same situation with different faces and different people. I once had a friend that said, like, yeah, I had a series of like a bunch of bad girlfriends and they were like all the same girl. like the boil down to the same thing. Like the universe kept like, all right, he didn't learn. Let's load it up again. Let's load it up again. Same face. I mean, different face, different name, same story, same frequency match. And that is a beautiful thing, because I think like 7 people later, boom, he has this incredible story about how it changed everything. And he learned the lesson and he changed himself. And within weeks, he was with the woman he was going to marry. Everything goes into alignment once you follow the pattern and get the lesson. So back to relationships, these beautiful mirrors in our life. If you practice separation, seeing yourself as separate from another and seeing them as wrong and you as right, that's part of it. That's a layer of it to uncovering and realizing that there is no separation. There is just like with like. And if there's a match, there's something there that's being beautifully mirrored to you, and your blind spots will always be shown to you. And if I could give the gift I was giving when I went through my divorce, I am divorced, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Just like the marriage to that man was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it led progressively to the person I became when I finally got divorced. This empowered, loving, beautiful human with a daughter who I was so proud to be, because I was myself in my true power and realize that this relationship with a great person was just no longer authentic because I had changed, and there was no shame or blame. There's no need to make another wrong. And in fact, if you're getting divorced at a stage where you're not your best self, why? It is so much better. Pause. Yes, of course, there are extreme situations, and I am not talking about those where you need to remove yourself for physical safety and reasons. None of that is on the table here, okay? You know your best route. So if you know your best route, run with it. This isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about every other situation where you shame and blame and guilt, and you're not intentionally doing it. You're innocent. You're running these programs, but you see another as the villain. And that is no way, in my opinion, to exit a relationship that you entered into with so much hope and so much love. You chose that person. There's something there. They're not all bad. Yes, you could have had on glasses with little hearts and just saw sunshine and butterflies, and now you could have bitter glasses on and just see everything bitter. But you could take the glasses off. I know that it's not always just done in 2 seconds, but if you're watching this video, you're beginning to see that you can create a reality and choose your thoughts and curate your experience, and you can begin to see that there's some more there. So seeing into the relationship, into your part of it, and what your complaints are a reflection of you. So doing the work at that moment and using your partner as this like beautiful, brilliant catalyst into becoming the best version of you is, I would say, after being guided through this, giving it up. You know how I like to give it up and surrender and follow guidance. Being the best version of myself is the way that I exited that relationship. It was the only thing that felt fair to both of us. And in being my best, I saw his best. And I saw him. And if there were hard moments or hurt feelings, I held a space of love, and it was easy because I felt love. I felt grateful. I felt so grateful to him for allowing me this space to become this version of me that I was always meant to become, and to become this version of me with a beautiful daughter, and she is half of him. So me seeing ill will in him or any negativity is a reflection of her, and I'm not going to hold that space for her. And there's no shame or judgment here if you're in one of these relationships and you're not where I was. This is a reflection meant to inspire and deepen, and you've attracted this. So look at why and find it. I attracted all the same things, and it led on this beautiful path to a friendly divorce, still being great friends, getting remarried later, all being great friends, and having this incredible life where we don't even have a parenting plan. It's just go with the flow. Like, I know you have this busy creative life and I have the same, so I am going to raise our daughter and kind of be the parent that does that the same way I did when we're married. And when you have time, you come over. And when you want a long trip out of nowhere because you randomly had clients cancel and days off and you have this epic experience, do it. And I'm going to support her. And if you want me to go drop her off, I'm going to go drop her off. And if you want me to go pick her up, I'm going to go pick her up. And it's reciprocal. It's the same thing, because what you put out, you get back in the world. So I give everyone the benefit of the doubt and know that they're doing their absolute best. And do you know how good it feels to see people that way? Because it allows me to see the reflection and find that in myself, find that divinity and love in myself, find that neutral spot in myself, to allow friendships to come, to allow friendships to stay and blossom, to allow friendships to pass, to allow people to be authentically who they need to be. I had a friend that years ago, we were kind of separating, and it's not even intentional. You just feel it. You don't feel as drawn to them. You just feel, and it's a frequency change. They're leveling up for another chapter in their life that isn't really a match with you, and you're leveling up for something different. And if you love them and appreciate the friendship, you're going to cheer them on and want the best for them. And so I had sent her a message, and evidently she had never responded. I didn't even realize that because I just knew she was out living her best life because she's incredible. And she's circled back, now moved to the same small specific area I live in. A mutual friend mentioned us because there's a frequency match, and she reached out to me and was like, oh my gosh. And she somehow still had our text from years ago and was like, I realized that you text me and I never responded. And she sent me this really long apology. And all I said was like, girl, I love you. If you didn't respond, it's because you were off living your amazing life. I want the best for you, whether that has me in it or not. And she just said, nothing's changed in our relationship. I can tell that you're still the same person. Because ultimately at that core, I met her after those huge transformative transitions. And guess what? She was living her best life. She's doing amazing. And we met back up. There's no finality to it. There's no need to have people be in your life and show up a certain way for you unless that's something you're setting. And why? What is in that reflection? And looking in at that brings a lot of clarity and love. This whole conversation is really going to be fluid and help to just inspire you to think differently, to look at blame you're assigning if you are, or shame, or feeling guilt yourself in a relationship, or any worry, because worrying is praying for what we don't want. If Jesus says, pray and imagine it as done, and he heals people and says, go forth, tell no one, he doesn't want anybody basking in that old frequency that you don't want. It's an incredible lesson looking at his words. What do you want? What frequency are you going towards? So worrying, praying for what you don't want, is something we don't want to do. What do we want to do? How do you want to show up in these relationships? And just audit all of them in your life. And when you intentionally can place your attention onto something and illuminate it, you can see sometimes you can bring up a friendship in your life and feel like unfinished business or hurt, but there's not necessarily like, you don't really need to reach out to that person. Like there's not really anything to be said, but you just feel. That's when in meditation you go to that special place wherever it is for you. Mine is a beach in California, and I sit on the sand and I get really centered and I count backwards and I am there. And then I will imagine that person coming, like their soul, their being there, and we'll just have a heart-to-heart incredible conversation. And there is incredible proof to show that when you send your focus to another, it's received. And whether or not they're able to consciously receive it, or whether they just have like a feeling, a lot of times if there is even a conflict, you can clear the air there and you will notice it change and shift in real life, a change of heart, a different opinion, because your loving intentions are being sent out into the universe and met. But it's not even that you're doing it for that reason, but you're doing it for you, because you don't need to hold them there in the dark, in hell, in that problem frequency. You deserve to let them go and let them soar and do the same for yourself. Relationships are a constant reminder of how we're showing up in the world, who we're being, who we're allowing, and who we're allowing others to be. There is so much love to be given and so much love to be received. That's the front, it's the energy flowing out, and it's the back, the energy flowing in. And if you have traumas and blockages and you're not allowing love in, you'll see it reflected in your relationships, and you can find it and audit it and remove it. And if you're not allowing yourself to love people, you have a quick temper or a quick trigger or a need to make people wrong to feel better, that will be reflected in your relationships too. And you can find it if you have like an authoritarian parenting style where you need to yell at your kids, or you have a I don't deserve to have a voice. I hope my kids do what I ask, but I'm not going to really ask them. Like different ends of the pole, different ends of the shift. What does neutral look like? You should be able to see it reflected where you're out of balance in a way, and why. And it's most likely a program, either from 14 generations back, because we come preloaded with a lot of crap, or it's something in this lifetime, or it's something that you've lived, or the way you were treated. When I always tell my daughter, when she sees a person at the park and they are being, I don't know, mean, a word she would use, I would say those people are the ones that need the most love, because the way they're acting is most likely the way they were treated. It's what they know. And if you're bumping into it, maybe you're there to brighten their day and to give them a pass. And you don't need to go necessarily, if it's not a big deal, necessarily need to go tattletale, get them in trouble, but just be that reflection for them if you can, if the situation is right, if it feels right to just be honest and say, hey, that kind of hurt my feelings. Like, what's up? Are you okay? It doesn't seem like you're normally like a nice, kind person. Like, can I help you with something? Do you need help? And just like holding that neutral space. And you'll know when that situation's right and when it doesn't feel right, because you'll have healthy boundaries from neutral to allow people to be authentic and allow yourself to be authentic. And sometimes in being authentic, it will mean not putting yourself into these situations, that you don't need to save everyone, that you can see that they're on their path and they'll find their way and they're just doing their artwork. You don't need to go correct their artwork and tell them that it's not good enough or it needs to look a different way. And a lot of times in relationships, marriages, whatever, you are receiving all of these different inputs in life and you're growing into this. You can grow into two completely different people. And it's not necessarily like, in my opinion, that you like grow apart. It's that you're both growing in your journey. And sometimes it's no longer a match. And that's okay. That's okay. And exiting with as much love as you came in with is the most beautiful way to do it. Because by giving them approval to be themselves, you're giving it to yourself. And by giving it to yourself and allowing it, you're giving it to them. And just supporting each other through this. And if you're at a certain frequency where you can see this clearly and understand this and they're not, that's okay. You keep meeting them with love. And you're going to be separating on your path, and then you're going to be reaching towards things that are bigger and better and more aligned with where you're going. And if you had a relationship in your life that you can still look back on and feel negativity towards, I invite you to go to that place, because every frequency on earth, in the physical, transitioned in the non-physical, is still an active frequency. You can reach anybody. And if you get into that meditative state, you can set those intentions and have that heartfelt. And if you're showing up as a victim, you need to look at that. Why? What in them are you making so wrong? Because it's in you, and you can look at that too. And if you need to be the victim, why? You can look at that too. What benefit do you have? A lot of times when we have somebody as a villain in our life, there's a benefit. We feel good being the victim. We feel good hiding parts of ourselves. This is a very tricky, intricate game. And if you sit with it, you'll find the answers. And just know that you're innocent and you're always trying the best. Everything ultimately comes back to wanting to feel love and be received for being who we are, being authentic, unconditional love. And the most empowering part of life is when you can find that for yourself. Because when you find it for yourself, you allow it for others. And when that's what's reflecting from you, that's what the world reflects back. And you just see more and more acceptance and love. And you realize that this life gets to be so good. And you realize that your divorce or your separation or your whatever relationship you're in, if it's clear to you that it's not in your highest good moving forward, this is a beautiful, huge transition that you're going through. That's huge, and that's beautiful and empowering. You are being led somewhere. I like to always think it's for their highest good, for your best self. So find it and use it and alchemize it and take this maybe feeling of your life burning down and bring it in and turn it into something amazing. You've got the tools. If you don't know that you have them, just know you have them. And if you're patient, you'll find them. And if you keep looking, you'll find them faster. You have the power to change your life, and you have the power to change it for the better. And the more love you can find in every situation, the better that situation is going to be, the more you're going to elevate it. This is like an energy that you're separating these two energies. And the more love that you bring to the relationship, the easier it's going to be to separate. And the easier it's going to be to see that other person and their divinity for who they truly are. And even if they're not at their best and they can't see that in themselves, which means if they can't see it in themselves, they sure can't see it in you. So they may not be radiating their highest words of praise that they went into the relationship radiating, but that's okay because you can see that clear as day. Of course they couldn't say that. Look at them. But you know what? I see their divinity. I see it in them. I see their perfection. And I'm going to hold that space for them and let them grow in the way that they need to grow, not punish them or make them wrong or force them to do it the way I'm doing it, because I'm not an expert at their life. They are. And that's it. That's the name of the game. Love. There's always more love, and there's always more understanding, and there's always more room to make the relationships in your life amazing and find what needs to be activated. I took a class recently, a year ago, somewhere around there, somewhere between recently and a year ago, and maybe longer than that. Anyways, it doesn't really matter, other than the fact that it was for fun. And what came of it is this beautiful human, this beautiful, nurturing, loving man that was leading the class, held for me a safe space to open up about relationships in my life. And in his holding the space and being that mirror for me, he pulled out the frequencies that I could not get in any other setting or situation. And in it, victim came out, and I'm so sad, and I don't have this, and I want that, and I feel lack, and I feel separation, and I feel judgment. And it was in that moment of getting it out, because my throat chakra wasn't really activated and I wasn't really speaking my truth or hearing my truth, and I was very shut down. But he allowed the space to give it the energy to open, to say it, to hear it. And in that moment, in hearing it, I could follow it up. I had actionable steps I could take. I could follow these specific codes that I said. And then from there, everything opened up, and I could see more than ever and get more than ever, and realize that everything that I had said I saw was a choice. It was a reflection of me. And it was so beautiful, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So if you're listening to this and it kind of, it definitely lands, and it kind of, you don't even know how to get to it, try to put that intention out there that you want to find a safe, loving person to talk about this with. And in that conversation, listen to what comes up. Listen to what they bring out of you. And different people can bring out different things. Or if you're listening to this, listen to your inner monologue. Pay attention to what comes up, because it's giving you code to specifically get to that part of the subconscious that is attracting this part of relationships or this repeat pattern or whatever it is. And then get into meditation and sit with it, or go into meditation and have that conversation with that person you need to have and clear the air, dead or alive. It makes no difference. I've done it all. And I have had incredible experiences as a result in the physical world and from the non-physical, because life is amazing like that. So go live your beautiful day. Go adjust your relationships in all the way you need to, because this life is a game and you deserve to be enjoying it and playing it and living your best life. And find where you're being led and what you're being showed, and just make it all flow in a way that you deserve to have it flow. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Remember to follow that intuition, follow that guidance wherever it leads. Leave a comment if you feel so inspired and had any thoughts to share your beautiful genius with other people. Because when you create and put things into the world through comments or love or thinking to call somebody, whatever you do, it gets where it needs to go, and it creates that ripple effect. So go and do it and be your beautiful, unique, only one of you that there exists in the world out of billions of people. Have an amazing day.